A very good morning to all. Dear children, today I am discussing about Rabindranath Tagore as a mystic and an artist. So, there have been many poet philosophers in the history of world literature who have captured the heart and minds of people since generation by their mystic and artistic creation in the form of soulful writing. These poets include Jalaluddin Rumi, Kabir, Amir Khusro, Mirabai, and Rabindranath Tagore. The magic of these poets is that their popularity is not confined to any age or geographical boundaries, but they are beyond ages and beyond boundaries. Rabindranath Tagore is the only Nobel Prize awardee for literature in India. He was the first Asian to receive Nobel Prize in 1913 for his seminal work Gitanjali, which is Songs Offering. Though Kamala Das was also nominated for her poetry, but she didn't win it. Very few people know that the real name of R.N. Tagore is Rabindranath Tagore. If you read his books in Hindi, for example, Gora, you will find his name as Rabindranath Tagore. It was Britishers who were not able to pronounce his name properly. They used to call Tagore instead of Thakur. So from this, Rabindranath Tagore became Rabindranath Tagore. So, as a person, Tagore was very liberal and hated orthodoxy and superstitious element present in the society and was very enlightened and progressive. He believed in the same ideology which mystical poet Rumi and Kabir believed. That is quite evident from the following lines of his poem from Gitanjali. Leave thy chanting and singing and telling of beads, whom thou worship in this lonely dark corner of a temple, with door all shut. Open thine eyes and see thy God is not before thee. He is there where the tiller is tilling the hard ground and where the pathmaker is breaking stone. He is with them in sun and in the shower and in his garment, which is covered with dust. Put off the holy mantle and even like him come down on the dusty soil. These lines prove that Tagore was a rational thinker and was not get carried and he didn't get carried away by myth and rhetoric. In the same way, if you have read Dohes of Kabir, Kabir says, "मोको कहाँ ढूंढे रे बंदे मैं तो तेरे पास में ना मैं मंदिर ना मैं मस्जिद ना काबे कैलाश में." And in similar vein, the Persian poet Jalaluddin Rumi also speaks. O pilgrim who visit the Holy Land, I'll show you heaven in a grain of sand. Why traverse desert, why confront the storm? If within you reside the formless form of the beloved, if he is in your heart, your pilgrimage has ended where you start. So we see that this mystical poet believed in humanitarian aspect of life and they did not believe in religious activities. Tagore was a born poet. He started composing poems when he was barely 7 years of age. But his literary career began with Sandigi, which is an evening song in English. It is believed that at the age of 18, he experienced the great illumination which gave him a new insight into the universe. This he has depicted in his memorable poem composed in 1884, Morning Song, which is in Hindi is called it Prabhat Sangeet, in the volume The Awakening of Waterfall. Though it is difficult to comprehend what exactly the mystic experience was, but Tagore tells, I quote, "Suddenly I felt as if some ancient mist had in a moment lifted from my sight, and the morning light on the face of the world revealed an inner radiance of joy. That which was memorable in this experience what is human message, the sudden expansion of my consciousness in the super personal world of man. At this stage, he experienced a new illumination, and this vision of life completely transformed him into a mystic. Uh, Three things which stand out as a distinctive feature of the poet new vision of life is that firstly, it is the human soul which is the soul of creation, but its creative effort leads it away from itself and united with the inner life of nature, which too is full of human significance. Secondly, this union between man's expanding consciousness and the spirit of nature is a source of joy, and it is this sense of joy springing from the realization of inner harmony of object that Rabindranath Tagore find the definition of beauty. Thirdly, this joy of beauty is identical with freedom, for it is by lifting the outer curtain of commonplaces. Tagore's vision of life made him mystic, and his mysticism is seen in his firm faith in the principle of unity, rhythm, and harmony. He once wrote in the Sadhana, I quote, "It is a very characteristic of life that it is not complete in itself. It must come out. Its truth is in the synthesis of the inside and the outside union of the soul with something external is essential for self fulfillment." He believed that the principal feature of human personality is that it is transcendental, that it fulfills itself by reaching forward to what lies beyond itself, to what should be, what might be. The finite look forward to the infinite and the individual to the universe. It is man's consciousness that he is potentially greater than what he is at present, that he is related to universal life, which is the foundation of morality. The fervor of human desire acquires loftiness only when the boisterous outbreak of passion is shown against a backdrop, a ground of universal life. Human soul, the finite, seeks fulfillment through union with the universal soul or the divine, the infinite, and is filled with bliss whenever such a union takes place. This has been the faith and experiences of the mystic in all ages, whether it was Mirabai or Amir Khusro. Such mystic communion with the finite not only overwhelm the human soul with unfathomable bliss but also illuminate the soul with the dazzling light of the truth and wisdom. In one of the poems of Gitanjali, he says, "Thou hast made me endless, such is thy pleasure, that this frail vessel thou emptiest again and again, and filleth it with ever with fresh life. At the immortal touch of thy hand, my little heart loses its limit in joy and give birth to utterance ineffable. Thy infinite gift comes to me only on these very small hands of mine. Ages pass, and still thou purest, and still there is room to fill." These poems are basically songs which follow the same tradition of mysticism which Mirabai or Khusro use in their poem. We can feel the similar touch of mysticism in Mirabai songs, "Saanson ki mala se simru mein pee ka naam." This song has also been taken in a famous movie of Shah Rukh Khan and Madhuri Dixit. Then after Mirabai, we can see the example of Amir Khusro, which he says in his Qawwali, "Chhap talak mujse chhini to si naina milake." These songs take us entirely into a different world, uh, in which an individual soul meets the divinity. If we see Tagore's writing, then we find that Tagore was artist throughout in life, and this has depicted in his literature. He believed in the principle of art for art's sake, and he devoted his life entirely for it. If we see that in literature there are two schools of thought, art for art's sake and utilitarian. Many great thinkers believe in the principle of art for art's sake. Another great writer believed in utilitarian. Both the discourses have their own logic and relevance, and each school of thought and each believer of these school of thought express their own logic and reason. The term art for art's sake was coined in the early 19th century by the French philosopher Victor Cousin. The slogan expresses the idea that true art needs no justification and that it's not serve any didactic, moral, social, religious or practical purpose. That art is valuable as art and it is very precious, and the only objective of art is the pursuit of aesthetic pleasure and pure beauty. The famous romantic poet Wordsworth, Coleridge, Shelley, and Keats believe in the philosophy of art for art's sake. They derive pleasure from every phenomena of nature and consider their verses as a piece of art, which is for aesthetic pleasure. As Keats says, "A thing of beauty is joy forever." For them, beauty is art, and art is truth. Uh, for them, this beauty was eternal. As Keats' view, truth is beauty, beauty is truth. Uh, but same was the thinking of Elizabethan poet, and same was In the same way, pre-Raphaelite poet also think like D.Z. Rossetti, who has composed Blessed Damozel poem, which is more like a painting. But Victorian poet like Tennyson, Arnold, Browning had different opinion regarding literature. They believe in the utilitarian concept. In their writing, they portrayed the vices and virtues of which existed in their society at their age. That was an age which has seen lots of transformation due to revolution, urbanization, the society transforming from rural to urban, industrialization of the society changing from simplicity to materialism, and this vices and virtue, all these vices and virtue, they are portrayed in their literature. Same was in the romantic age. uh, there was the society was transforming, and there was chaos and confusion in the society, but these poets, they diverted their mind from this chaos and confusion towards nature, and they did not portray all these realities in their literature, so they were called as escapists and Victorian realism. Victorian followed new classical poet of Restoration age like Dryden and other poets, those who have also portrayed uh, all the realism of their society in their writing, whether it is social, moral, political, down for any other thing. So when we see R. N. Tagore, we see that he belonged uh, to the concept of art for art's sake. He was a versatile who wrote all genre of literature like poem, short story, and novel. His story, A Wrong Man in Workers' Paradise, is based on the philosophy of art for art's sake. Though many scholars have different opinion regarding it, and they have interpreted it in a different way. But if we see the story, A Wrong Man in Workers' Paradise, we see that there is a man who has lived his life pursuing art as per uh, as per the belief of the people. He has done no useful work and impulsively followed his hobby. But after this, luckily he goes to heaven. But by aerial messenger, he is mistakenly placed in a worker's paradise, the very last place which he wanted to go, or which you expect to find someone who never did laborious days work in his life. As the name suggests, there's no time for leisure in the particular paradise. There simply isn't a moment to spare for anything other than useful toil. Straight away, the new face in heaven, which is the wrong man, realizes that he doesn't fit in this atmosphere. As he doesn't know what hard work entails, he spends his day idling about, getting in the ways of everyone else as they hustle and bustle back, fate in their eagerness not to waste a single time. Being an artist, he wanted to paint, he wanted to do sculpture, make sculpture, but there he did not find anything of his choice. We see that it is not just the spirit in the paradise who are constantly at work, even the natural resources are too. Back on earth, a raging torrent of water would make a mighty sound indeed, but not here. Not in the workers' paradise, for here the torrent remains silent and they would not waste their energy on something as useless as singing. So here Tagore wanted to convey his message that in the society, singing is considered as a useless thing, or as a hobby, not as in a form of art. So when this man asked picture from a girl whom he named it a girl of silent torrent, because she always used to fill water from the silent torrent, to drop picture on it, she didn't agree because she thought it is a waste of time. But he constantly requested her again and again every day, and at last she agreed. When she agreed and gave him her picture, he painted beautifully. But she did not understand. She was surprised to see the painting, and she did not understood his painting and asked him the purpose behind it, as it seemed meaningless for her. At home, when she took the picture, she looked at it again and again and tried to find out the meaning behind it or the purpose behind it, but in vain, as she was not able to get it. Then again he asked some work from her, and this time he weave a beautiful ribbon for girls' hair. The ribbon was so beautiful, but it took her so much of time that she started neglecting her work. After this girl, there were many other people who were inspired by this wrong man, and being inspired, being influenced by him, they also started painting and making sculpture, so they were not able to do the work which were assigned to them, and so they started neglecting this work. And this news spread everywhere, and it reached to the ears of the president. A meeting was called, and the aerial messenger confessed that he brought a wrong man in the paradise. The wrong man was summoned to the coach. When he came, people were surprised to see he was so well dressed, and he had paint brush in his hand. This was he looked entirely different from other people in the workers' paradise, because they did not had time to for dressing up. Uh, the president of workers' paradise understood that this man is not suitable for the paradise, as he is influencing other people. So he ordered him to leave the paradise. It is not suitable for him. As he was leaving, he readily agreed, because he was not happy in that place. Uh, he believed that the place does not suit him. When he was leaving, the girl of the silent torrent started crying. She wished to go with him. This was surprising for people in workers' paradise, as it never happened before and was something new, because it was meaningless without any purpose. So it is clear from the story that an artist can only understand the value of another artist. Through this story, Tagore has satirically explained the situation of the society. In our society, artists belonging to any field, whether they are literature, music, painting, and sculpture, are not valued. Parents mostly don't encourage their children to learn any form of art, because for them it is useless, meaningless, and is of no purpose. Tagore has presented the situation of workers' paradise. But for artists, art means aesthetic beauty and pleasure. Art means everything for them. Artist. Uh, Tagore himself, being an artist, valued art a lot, and hence he used to feel dejected seeing the response of people towards art. So this story is basically a satire where Tagore has disclosed the ugly reality of the indifference of society towards artists, and clearly reflect the theory of art for art's sake, and it gives a message that for any artist, art is everything. Art is very precious, valuable, and art is for aesthetic pleasure, art is aesthetic beauty. We also see that still now the situation has not changed in our society. People still does not have this same heart, same value for art. So this is quite depressing, because we belong to a country which is very rich in art and culture. I hope you must have understood the concept of art for art's sake through this story, and I hope you must have understood how Tagore was a mystic and an artist. Thank you so much.